Well, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's feeling warm. I tried to dress as nicely as possible, but then I was absolutely freezing this morning, so I warmed up a little bit. I hope everybody's nice and energized after the keynote that we just saw. I've been here since 7:30 in the morning, drinking a lot of coffee to make sure that went smoothly. So now let's focus on the next session that we have here today. Is everything around how to accelerate every stage of your analytics with Tableau Agent. But as we traditionally do here at Salesforce, we got to start with a forward-looking statement because we are a publicly traded company. So like my first product management director I ever worked with told me, don't buy what isn't real yet. And also within your typical Tableau and Salesforce tradition, a massive thank you. There's a lot of sessions going on. There's a lot you could do in your day, and you've decided to spend the next 30 minutes with myself and with Abel over here to learn more around Tableau Agent. I'm joined here today by Ewald Hofman, one of our fellow product management directors. Came here all the way over from Seattle, although his native home is much closer to mine in the Netherlands. And I'm myself a relatively new face to the Tableau space. I recently moved over from the world of e-commerce within Salesforce to Tableau. But the cool thing is, as a product marketer, you directly see the link between data and analytics and product marketing, because at the end of the day, it's all about storytelling. Maybe not so much with slides and a lot of talking, but much more with data and visualizations. And as you will have all noticed, a year ago at any event we were talking about the potential of AI and the potential of agentic capabilities and all the beauty that is possible with everything that we're trying to do. And fast forward 1 year, and we're no longer talking about potential. We're actually talking about results. What we're seeing is a lot of increase in productivity, and actually employees report that they see over a 40% increase in their productivity just by using AI, generative AI, or large language models in their day-to-day work. But what was surprisingly, McKinsey did a research, and they actually found that people saw 3 times as much use of Gen AI in a third of their work than they had actually initially expected. And this will lead to a lot of growth in GDP around the world. And actually, they're projecting over $7 trillion in GDP production in the next 10 years. Now, we all know 1 trillion of that goes to Elon Musk, but the other 6 trillion are up for grabs, right? So that's what we're trying to discover here today, right? How do these 92% of companies that plan to invest more in Gen AI, how can they make that happen in the space of analytics? Now, the beauty is what we're trying to show you today is not about investing in new solutions, because what we're doing is we're bringing AI to the tools that you're already used to using. Now, whether or not you are a business user, a novice analyst, or an experienced Tableau analyst, we have tools for you. Now, if you look on the left-hand side, you got your experienced Tableau analyst. You're almost, I would say, native to the capabilities that we have within Tableau. It's not about you not knowing how to do something in Tableau. It's about you not having the time. You have 1,000,001 things. You have always that problem of context switching, stakeholders bugging you with requests, ad hoc things you need to do. That's why we build out our Tableau Prep. And this is all about how you can speed up these mundane and sort of repetitive tasks so you can focus on what you do best, which is value creation and telling stories with data. Now, if you're more of a novice analyst who maybe is more familiar with a different solution or also is relatively new to building out visualization, working with the data, we have our web authoring solutions as well that really guides a novice when they want to start a new visualization or when they start to sort of tell a story around the data that they have. And then the last user, this is where I fall under these days, this is the business user. These are your data curious people, but sadly do not work that frequently with the tools within Tableau. But we want to be able to provide them with the capabilities to read a dashboard as quick as possible and understand the insights that are hidden within there. Now, what we're obviously here trying to show you is a few different capabilities and a few different features for each and every one of these type of users within server and cloud. But in order to do so, I'd like to invite Ewald actually on the stage, who builds these products, who has a much better grasp of showing you this in real life. And we're going to go through a bit of a demonstration on how this looks in real life. Ewald, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Am I on? No.
Yes?
Am I on now? Yes, okay, awesome. Well, good morning, everybody. Sorry for the show of hands, but I'm seriously interested. How many of you are on cloud? Okay, half, a little bit more, and server? Okay, that's surprising. It's probably 2/3, 1/3. I actually expected the other way around. So what you're going to see in my demos is already available in cloud. Right? Everything is real code. The first demo is dashboard insights, dashboard narratives. This is going to be released to cloud very, very soon. And on server, you unfortunately have to wait for a little bit for this one. But so this is targeted towards the business user. And what we have found is that a business user, if they come to the dashboard, not everybody knows how to read charts. And even if you know how to read the charts, there's a lot going on dashboards. How do I know, without really squinting, what should I pay attention to? Maybe people have clicked on the data guides that you see on in the top on the toolbar, right, to explain data. That is showing you the outliers. A lot of people are not familiar with it, and it's sometimes also hard to understand what's going on there. And so with the dashboard narratives, we now have the option for you to get those insights by AI, by an LLM. And so what we're going to do here is basically give all the data on that dashboard to the LLM, and the LLM, sorry, not to the LLM, we're using the Pulse Insights service as well as the explain data to generate that summary. So I'll make it a little bit bigger. Can you read it, or do I need to zoom in? Zoom in, there we go. So instead of having to squint on this little calls by state, right? What does a dark color mean? What are the numbers behind those dark colors? Right now you see it in the pane next to you, and those business users can just read what's going on. The summary shows the top 3 insights across all the different components on the dashboard. If you're interested in more details around, move. If you're interested in more details, you see those insights per component, per sheet. And as I hover over for example, the number of calls per stage, you see the little highlight of that component. And now I can drill in, and you see more details of that item itself. And you as an author have full control over which of those components will get those insights, because not everything is useful, and whether those insights are available at all. So this is our first feature that we are delivering for the business user, and more is to come. So the second one is for the creator, for the explorer. And Mike was sharing with the experienced Tableau user. I would say the experienced Tableau user is faster than our Tableau agent. Right? Tableau is very easy to use. You can do your drag and drop very quickly. It is really trying to do the time savings. And so what we are trying to do in the near future is put in some more AI sprinkles. For example, to generate descriptions, generate color palettes, right? Those tedious tasks that makes you faster. What we have available now is much more for those users that don't know where to start, right? Because you're staring here at a blank canvas. And although Tableau is easy to use, there's still a lot of explorers mostly out there that don't know how to get started. So what if I can ask a question? For example, and I just grabbed the data source because we're in London, so I grabbed the data source that I found on Gaggle about London. And this is about bike shares from a couple of years ago. the data source doesn't really matter. And so I see a measure new bike shares, and I would like to see that by season. So now we are sending this query to the LLM, and the LLM comes back with, hey Tableau, this is probably the fields that you should put on the columns and these fields on the rows. And it generates that visualization for you. Those are two fields. Probably the experienced user might have done it faster, but a new user absolutely will gain from this. And now I see this data, and I would like to see whether these numbers, whether it's during the week or it's the weekends, right? And so now I'm going to ask, highlight the weekend shares. And to be honest, although I work for Tableau, we are terrible Tableau users. And so when I was trying to answer this question myself, I didn't know how to do it, right? And so the AI helped me with this. And now I see probably every single day, right, the weekends are not either outliers or very low usage. So now that I have this, and the seasons are not ordered correctly. So what if I can order those correctly, right, by timestamp? Because the spring does not come after fall. And now we are going to again ask the AI to order this, right? And well, this is also what AI does for you, right? When we're talking about AI, you never know what you can expect. So let's try it again. And it just happens when I was practicing this this demo. Of course, this question went well. There you go. It went. Not even a little hand for the LLM to do it correctly. Yay! So now we have the seasons in order, but we can do more. So the Tableau agent can do two things. It can create visualizations and it can create calculations. Calculations can be a pain in the ass to create. LODs are very powerful, but very few know how to actually use them or create them. So what if I just ask that question, right? Create a field to show the median shares by season and weather code. Right? And now it comes back with the calculation that that is the LOD. And we always, and you heard it also in the keynote, I think Reka said it, we want to keep the human in the loop. So what I'm doing over here, right, with this calculation, we are not auto-applying this calculation. We are telling you, hey, this is probably what you mean, and do you want to apply this? Sometimes there's an error in the calculation. We are doing everything in our power to make it as smooth as possible, but we still see some errors. And if that happens, you can do the edit, but at least you have a good start. And when we're talking about human in the loop, then you can also think about it created a visualization. If I want to drag more fields, because for whatever reason, right now I know a little bit how to do it, and I feel comfortable in doing stuff. So you had AI, do some manual, and then you can continue with the AI for the next step. So the human in the loop is very important to us. I think it was yes. So these were all fairly simple examples. But now, what if we're going to ask the LLM, is there a correlation between temperature and humidity on the bike shares? Right, that is a much more sophisticated question. And there you go. Right? It created a visualization that I would have not thought of that actually does it very well. Well, we can make it even worse for the AI. And just say include weather. There is no field called weather, right? The field name is weather code, and so you don't need to be very precise on the field names. I didn't specify that it needs to include weather to an existing viz, right? It has still the context in the conversation. So in this case, it did something very interesting, right? Very colorful. I can print this out and hang this on the wall. It looks just beautiful. But that is what AI does. And I was actually inspired last night. There was a Slack thread with the team, and somebody asked, I have a customer conversation with some Japanese customers. Do you also do Japanese? And so it was, you know what? Let me give it a try. And by the way, the answer is yes. And let me try that myself to include it into the demo. So we are both Dutch. And any Dutch people here? A few? It says, is there a correlation between the weather and the temperature, where I spelled temperature completely wrong? And so I just ask something in Dutch, and it will actually understand what we're doing, right? And so it's going to create another visualization, very simple, similar what it did earlier. It will respond in English because it will respect the language that you chose on your profile, but it will understand what the intention. So the Tableau agent is not only available for your web authoring. And when I say web authoring, that also means that it is going to be available in desktop. Right? So desktop as well as the web is where Tableau agent works. In prep, we can do something similar. So in prep, we can ask, clean my data and only include the temperature values from 5 to 25. I probably know how to do this, right? Add a clean step, add a filter, just a lot of work. What if the AI is doing that for me? And again, human in the loop. So I'm doing the apply all, and there you go, right? It cleans the data to only add this filter. And because we are all, I don't think that we have any Americans in the room, do we? But for those that don't know do Celsius, let's add a Fahrenheit field. Those weird ones. They do inches and feet, and I have an American wife, and she doesn't understand the metric system, so so there you go, right? It created that calculation for you. And then the last thing is I just wanted to make it a little bit harder for the AI, and it says create a season field where 0 is winter, and fill out the other seasons. Because in the viz you saw that it was winter, spring, fall, and summer. That is because I created aliases. In the data set itself, it's 0, 1, 2, and 3. And so I don't even mention that what the value for 1, 2, and 3 is, but because, see, AI. No, that's also wrong. Hopefully this works now. But what the AI, what the LLM is capable of is, oh, there is a sequence, right? And I know about seasons. Well, there you go, right? I know about the seasons. I know the order where seasons are in. And I see that there is a 0, 1, and 2, and 3 in the data set. So this is probably what you mean. And this is where the power of AI is, right? Very little context it needs to do something meaningful. There's no need to spell it out for Mr. AI or Mrs. AI. You never know. And we are good on time. So I wanted to actually give our Tableau agent a challenge. Anybody come up with a prompt that I should try? Anybody? What is the statistical significance between temperature and summer and winter. Well, so this is complete ad hoc, right? Improvisation. It might return something. No, it did not. But we've seen that it sometimes is not. Can I copy this? There you go. Let's try it again. One more try. No. So there are limitations. That's always the risk when you improvise. Potentially when you use correlation, and also in prep is a different tool than visualization, so maybe if we ask this question to the visualization, it works better. So what we have seen until now is the web authoring to really help that novice user and to create those calculations, to create those visualizations, to help you with cleaning your data, to add more context to your prep flows. We have seen the dashboard narratives, which is coming soon to cloud, to get those insights, and more to come soon. There's a fourth persona that we haven't seen. It was also not on the slide. Marketing said, no, don't do it. I'm going to do it anyway. It is the developer. We heard about MCP, and this is a application. In addition to being a product manager on the AI team, I'm also a product manager for embedded analytics. And so I just wanted to see what MCP was doing. And so what I did over here is a third-party application. If you're interested in the code behind this, or if you want to just show off at your work, reach out to me, and it's a public link. And what it is actually doing, so MCP, how many of you know what MCP is? What an MCP? Very few. It is super powerful. MCP is basically that you're giving the LLM access to your APIs, the Tableau APIs. And we are exposing 10 APIs at the moment, or 10, they're called tools inside an MCP. We're having 10 tools right now. So one of them is the metadata API, to get your fields and your data sources. Another one is VDS, headless BI, that allows you to programmatically query the published data sources. And that is what I'm using over here. So when I ask the question, show me the sales by order date yearly, it uses and I can show the tools. You see over here, list data sources. So it was using the metadata API to identify what are the data sources and what data source can answer this question. Then it has list fields. So what are the fields that are available? So what is the order date? Is that field there, right? What that mapping? And then it's using that VDS or headless BI to actually query. And what you're seeing over here, right, it uses the date field, and then it uses the sum of sales, and then it returns it. And by the way, some people are still confused. So I'm emphasizing, this is not Tableau's AI or UI, right? This is me, a poor man's developer, using cursor, so using AI to generate something to show this off. But what you see over here, I have the very specifically set order date, and I say yearly. If I am not specific, that means that the MCP can just make things up. Not mixing things up, it will never just come back with a numbers that grabs out thin air, but because we are not sending the raw data to an LLM. What we're asking for is, given this user's question, what fields will be able to answer this question, and then the LLM tells us, this is the query, Tableau, this is the query that you should run. So we're never sending data to the LLM. And what happened earlier is I asked the question, show me the sales by date. And then sometimes it did year, sometimes it did month, and I asked the question even twice next to each other. And then it was a completely different answer. And when I looked into it, the first time it was using the order date, the second time it was using the create date, right? Because there's multiple date fields. So you need to be very specific. You need to ground your, if you're using MCP, you really need to ground it. But if you're using it correctly, it can be super powerful. So what this question does is give me an analytical summary of some dimensions and some measures, right, on a specific data source. And what it's going to do right now, right, it's going to run a couple of queries, and then it's going to correlate those queries to each other, and it's trying to generate a summary, very similar to what you saw earlier with dashboard narratives. Very different technology, but it is the same power of LLMs of generating the summaries. So now the MCP came back, right? With me not writing any single line of code, we're using the power of AI to use that data, come back with those summaries, and which gives you those insights and make it actionable. So that is what the MCP is for you. It is super powerful, but it also comes with risks. So be aware with it. You really need to ground it. And what I was sharing about how it works, right? The first step is the user asks a question. We're going to try to find the user intent. Are you going to want to create a calculation? Do you want to create a visualization? So that is the first step. The second step is where we're going to do our data mapping. We are sending back the fields of your data source. We're not sending the data, the fields. And now we're going to map what words in that user question map to which fields in the data schema. Now that we have that mapping, right, and that's the data grounding in this area. And by the way, you also see that box, row-level security. Because we are running queries on the published data source, any data source filter that you have in your published data source will be respected by the AI. Any action, whether it's the, no, I'm going to be very careful with this. When I was talking about MCP, MCP does not do the OAuth row-level security yet. So, but the in-product stuff all respects the row-level security. And then we're just using regular Tableau stuff, right? Or the VisQL in Tableau to actually run those queries, and then is where you see the outcome. So I will hand it over back to Mike. You have 2 minutes to finish it off.
Thanks, Emil. Yeah, I did not approve those MCP demos, but I'm glad you showed it anyway. Really nifty stuff. So just to prevent any query that you might ask an agent or an LLM to come up with, I don't know what you're talking about, as we're making this available to all our customers, here are a few best practices. So first and foremost, and it's not even on this slide, is when you want to do a multi-step type of query, break it down into individual actions. It will just help so much as we're expanding on the capabilities of LLM. On top of that, you do want to make sure that your field names are quite descriptive and quite unique, because the adage of garbage in, garbage out does exist. And yes, LLMs are very, very powerful, but the more we prevent confusion from happening, the better the answers you will get. And that's why you also want to hide similarity. You also want to make sure that you aggregate the measure and make sure that fields have the right role and the data type. And if you really want to enhance performance, use extracts, right? We have a blog, which is a great article. I think that was written by your boss, right? Yeah, great blog on how to get started as we're rolling this out to our customers. But now for the rest of the day, talk to us about Tableau. Come see the booth, go to the session, go to AWOL if you have deeper questions on what you just saw, and of course, continue to learn on everything that we're publishing on Salesforce+. We know a lot of these sessions are happening at the same time, so you cannot see it all. We're trying to push as much of it as possible on Salesforce+. If you really, really like this session, this will be available on Salesforce+ as well, so you can see it for a second time. I mean, I would go for other content because you've learned everything there is to know right now. But for now, let's say we'd love to get more insights, feedback. How can we improve both the event, the product, the features, the capabilities, you name it, put it on the survey. Enjoy the rest of the day, and any questions, come up to us, and we'll be happy to answer all of them. Thank you very much.